Hello, and welcome to the very first Goal In International. My name is Jonathan Carvalho. Nice to meet you all. Welcome. With me here I have Brandon Pereira and
Hello,
Rui
everybody.
de Oliveira. And today we're going to be talking about the Club World Cup, right, guys?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Initial thoughts on the tournament itself?
It's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds and the way it's going to start. But for now, we're just going to see how it goes. I don't know. It's a brand new tournament, so.
Yeah. Rui?
Yeah. I think, for the soccer fan in me is always excited to watch.
Yeah, of course.
Teams play, especially Benfica. But another part of me, like when things are new, there's always a risk of maybe it falling flat a bit. I know
Right.
We have some concerns with this tournament.
Plenty.
We maybe try to compare it to the Nations League, which is pretty new, and we saw the success there. A lot of people interested in that, but not sure if it's exactly one-to-one comparison.
Right. I mean, I believe for fans, especially outside of Europe, I would say it's a good thing. I feel like they're more excited than European fans. I mean, as Benfica and Porto supporters who are fighting in the tournament, are you guys excited to be in the first tournament, or do you think it's a waste of everybody's time?
I wouldn't say it's a waste of everybody's time. I don't know if it's excitement also, but I would say it's something that you're definitely looking forward to, just see how you compete with. I mean, there's a ton of great teams in the tournament, and there's a ton of money involved.
That's
we'll
true.
talk about
I mean,
a little bit.
the prize total is around 90 million. A team like Porto or Benfica transforms the whole club.
Yeah, and similar to the Champions League, where you're getting monetary values for every single win or result that you get in the tournament, and as you get further up, you're going to make a lot more money. So, interesting to see where that's coming from. But
yeah, same thing. I'm excited because Benfica's closer to me, right? They're on this side of the pond. It's exciting to think, maybe I could go watch my team play.
You're going to go down to Miami?
That's the thing, I'm not, because it's another concern of ours. The games are, especially some of the group stage games, they're at weird times.
That's true, yeah.
I work.
It's like
most
3,
people.
right? A lot of them during the week?
3 or noon, so occasionally, or they'll be during a Tuesday at 3 p.m. is a very awkward time to go watch. But I get it, they need to have the games be played at a reasonable hour for Europe to watch,
fit everybody in too.
There's also a TV deal or many TV deals
Right.
associated with it. But that's one concern. But either way, I'm excited for the possibility of Benfica making money. I'm unsure about how they'll spend it. Recently, it's been
a lot of money spent.
A lot of money spent. I don't know where it's been effective. Some of it has.
So another question. First, gut instinct, where do you think Benfica and Porto are going to finish? You think they'll pass the groups at least?
I think fourth place in the group. I think they both get out of the groups, right? I think Benfica's second best in the group. If we get a result with Bayern, I don't think we do. I think Bayern's an exceptional team, and they may look to make a statement in this tournament, given that they kind of underperformed in the Champions League, maybe. But I think Benfica gets out second place. The other two clubs.
I can see that. I mean, you guys have Auckland City. They're champions in New Zealand.
Yeah, we should take care of that.
They won the Oceania Champions League a whole bunch of times. I don't think they have the sauce, I guess, for European teams.
Yeah.
And Boca Juniors possibly could be a surprise. They have Edison Cavani's playing there. He's the captain.
That'll be an interesting game, and it's in Miami, where there's a big following there. So
is it in Miami?
That game is in Miami.
And
okay.
Argentinian fans are psychotic.
That's true. I've always wanted to go watch a game over there.
It means a lot to them. So I'd be worried about that Boca game. Benfica could easily crash out of the tournament.
And we just spoke about money, right? So, I mean, just for as bad as Benfica might need it, Boca Juniors definitely needs it
way
too,
more.
right?
Yeah,
so
definitely.
That could
90
change.
million for an Argentinian team. Forget about it.
That could change their course of next season, going
the
into
next
next
4
season.
seasons, even.
So I mean, and then you asked about Porto. I think it's super important for them to get back to winning. The last year was none of it, and they had a really tough season.
Rough season.
Lost a ton of games, more than I can remember in a long time.
Just finished in
third place,
right?
but it was not a competitive third. It was competitive.
There was a bit of a mile.
Yeah, it was
to second.
It was third and fourth were competing. It wasn't really third and
Porto's
first.
deal.
And that's just not the way it is.
Should never be that way with Porto.
So but they got a tough game Sunday against Palmeiras. I think that'll be.
I think that's their hardest game
of the group. I also do.
They got Abel Ferreira, good coach, won the Champions League twice.
Yeah, he's done a great job in Brazil and dominated South America for about 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Probably knows how to beat a Portuguese team.
Yeah, he was coach around there for a while. He played in the Portuguese league. I do think the winner of that game, or if they tie, whatever, it'll be one of those, first or second. I think they both can pass But you just never know. I know one of Porto's players said in an interview the team he's most worried about is not even Palmeiras, it's Al Ahly because
Personally, I would agree with that because Al Ahly, they're the Real Madrid of Egypt. You know what I mean?
And they're consistently playing well in Africa, and just because they're, I would say, not always on TV, it's tough for people to see them.
Right, exactly. It's hard to gauge.
Right.
Right.
And so it'll be interesting. And that's the third game, and going into that game, you'll know kind of what you need if you need to pass or if you're already advanced. So.
Question: do they play twice in the groups, or is it once like the World Cup?
It's once.
It's
Once,
fun.
okay,
Yep. So you play a
gotcha.
total of 3 games.
Gotcha.
Luckily, unlike Benfica, Porto plays 2 games here.
Okay.
Not too far in MetLife, so
That's good.
they should get a decent amount of fans over there. I know the Porto team arrived 2 days ago, 3 days ago, whatever it was.
Huge turnout to go see them.
There was a ton of people there waiting. They've been doing a great job, the club, with Porto starting a new group here, the Porto group in New Jersey, and they're getting a ton of traction behind that.
Right,
and
right.
Porto's being super cooperative and getting
That's
a lot
good.
of things going on with
Porto
that.
kind of needs it too, honestly.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that they've been doing well in the past year, not so much results, but social media presence, they've done a very good job. They've allowed people to sign up to be Sauciers part of the club.
That's good.
Online, no
Nice.
matter where you're from. So the following is getting a lot bigger, and hopefully with some wins, it'll get even
Yeah,
better.
I mean, this is like the perfect tournament to like announce
To market,
yourself to
yeah.
like a more global audience, especially for, I mean, Porto Benfica are already very well known globally, but for like a team like Al Ahly,
Yeah.
you know, that nobody
Yeah.
who watches the Egyptian league most of the time, you know, unless you're Egyptian or just love soccer that much, I guess, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it can also, like, in a lot of the World Cups, you see some of these lower teams, like Morocco in the last World Cup, they're a really good team, and nobody was ever talking about them.
yeah.
They eliminated Portugal.
Saudi
eliminated
Arabia beating
Spain.
Argentina.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's stuff like that happens all the time, and that's why we watch the game.
Honestly, I can see a lot of that happening in this tournament because I feel like a lot of, especially European teams, and maybe it comes with like that European like arrogance of like being on top of the football world.
Yep.
They might just get smacked by a random team from Africa or Asia,
Yeah,
or
they could get snuck up on.
I'm here for it, you know,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I would love to see like that. To me, I think that's the beauty of this tournament is seeing clubs play each other that you never see, like Boca Juniors Bayern or Boca Juniors and Benfica, or even Palmeiras Porto, you know, it's teams you never really see play. So it's hard to gauge how well they'll play against each other, I guess, you know,
Yeah.
there's no,
There's no history on it.
exactly, no
Exactly.
history.
The idea, the thought is there, the idea, the concept, because the World Cup is so attractive for that reason,
Right.
for the stories. And,
Right,
and I think, you know, Europe has criticized the tournament. I think having Infantino going on this U.S. tour is probably part of it. They're
agreed.
envious in a way.
Yeah, agreed.
They're worried about teams being able to rest during the summer,
Which is a
huge thing,
big
obviously.
thing, yeah. Players are playing almost 100 games now a year,
Yeah.
it seems, you know, especially if you
Yeah.
win everything. Like
Yeah.
PSG, for example, won the quad. And now if they were to win this tournament, that's like 70-something games you're playing.
And then not even that. You have those, we spoke about it, those Portuguese players that played
Yeah, they just played the Nations
every
League.
single game
Right,
for
exactly.
the Champions League, winning squad.
Gonna get burnt out.
They played that Sunday Champions League final. Didn't have to travel, stayed in Germany, played a Wednesday game against Germany for
Crazy.
Portugal,
Here's-
and played a Sunday final.
Exactly,
And now
it's
the
nuts.
next day they travel back to America.
Yeah.
Which is a long trip
And it's just
on
like,
top of that.
So this increases the likelihood of like soft tissue injuries by a mile.
Right,
So-
exactly. Which we've already
which are
been seeing
catastrophic, yeah.
an uptake in like ACL injuries
Yeah,
and like
Achilles,
meniscus.
yeah.
I
let's
feel like
not
it's going to
even,
get worse.
Talk
you know?
about the fact that a lot of these stadiums are turf.
That's a
That's
problem
also
as well.
true,
And
yeah.
I just saw a picture
Right.
today of MetLife laying grass over the turf. You never know how that's going to be
Right,
and
right.
what that situation's going to be like.
Uneven or
I tell you, if a big player gets injured, that is a horrible headline for
yeah,
the tournament.
especially if it's like a Messi or
If it's a prem, if it's a
Erling
significant prem
Haaland
player,
or forget about it. We're gonna hear complaints left and right from FAs all over Europe. For
sure.
You know? It's crazy. Moving on, Group B is Atletico Madrid, Botafogo, PSG, and Seattle Sounders. What do you guys feel of that group?
It'll be interesting because Atletico Madrid, you just never know what they're going to
Right,
do.
I agree with that.
They're like the biggest wild card ever, and I think I've spoken to Rui about it a couple times. Like, they can beat you randomly on a random day just by playing super hard, or they can just lay over and, like, Benfica just destroyed them earlier in the season.
yeah, that felt like a millennia ago.
Yeah,
You're
like
right.
you didn't even think it was the
Yeah.
same season. And then they
crazy.
took
Killed
Real
them.
Madrid. Granted, it wasn't Madrid's best year, but like probably deserved to beat Real Madrid in the Champions
right.
League. Lost on that penalty,
Right.
Julian Alvarez penalty.
You could
so-
see an upset in this group.
Yeah, I was
right?
gonna say it's a
Yeah,
very balanced group.
I could totally see Atletico fluffing the group and coming in like third.
You just
or
never
fourth,
know.
you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But the Fogo's been strong in Brazil, you know. Not as strong as like the leaders Fluminense, but still not Fluminense. I'm sorry, Flamengo. But still, you never know with these teams. They all have quality.
Is Coutinho at Botafogo?
No, I think
He's
wasn't
at
he-
Vasco.
He's at
Vasco.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
he's
okay.
at Vasco.
I was about to ask you
I
what you
would
thought
have
about
loved to see
that.
him
Yeah,
play.
yeah.
He's at
That
Vasco.
would have been amazing. Maybe the Americans are not going to want to hear this, but I believe none of the MLS teams are getting even a win, in my opinion. I don't see it
I can't wait to
happening.
see Porto play Messi.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's going to be a good game.
So,
They might get smacked like.
I hope so. I don't really-
you don't know with Inter Miami. I mean, they got Messi, they got Busquets, and they got Jordi Alba, Suarez, but like those guys are obviously up there in age,
Of course,
right?
of course.
That question about the European teams playing, like, does Messi and these guys even want to play
Right,
three
right.
times in the next week and a half
Right.
in a tournament that they probably think they're not going to win anyway?
Right, exactly. That's true. The levels of commitment might not
Yeah,
be there.
you know,
right?
and especially if they lose the first game against Al Ahly and you got a mountain to climb up and you're playing Porto the next game and Palmeiras in the last
right,
game.
those, it's a tall mountain.
It'll be a huge statement for these MLS teams, I think, because we see the turmoil that the U.S. men's national team is under.
Disaster.
They just got killed by Switzerland,
Right.
right? So a mid-tier European team is absolutely demolishing our national team. The league, I think, looks awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aesthetically, I don't think it's necessarily high-level football.
It's not. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, apologies for any American viewers.
Sorry.
It's not to say the sport doesn't matter here. It matters a lot.
Of course,
to us.
yeah.
But so
It's
it'll
still
be
growing.
It
It's
is.
just not at that level yet.
So it'll be interesting to see how these teams fare. It's an opportunity to make a statement, either good or bad,
Right.
against here.
And like Inter Miami, for example, they're stacked going forward. Messi, Suarez, like you said, Busquets. But that MLS defense, though.
Soccer is so much more than that, right? Like,
Yeah,
they have to
you know,
stop the other team.
Exactly.
You know, like-
And
I don't think they have it enough for any of the other teams.
Their defensive struggles are very apparent in the MLS. So
Right.
Right.
when you're up against a team that's a little bit more organized and one of the best teams in South America and like Porto and one of the best teams in the African continent, it'll be interesting to
Yeah.
see what they're
Not
up
to mention
against.
they didn't even win the league. You know, they
Yeah.
went out in the first round
Well,
of the
that,
playoff. You know.
that goes to ask how.
Right, it's a good question. How is Inter Miami in this tournament? You know, because it ain't through merit, that's
I mean,
for sure.
if nobody knows, every other team was qualified through UEFA ranking and winning something. Like Seattle won the CONCACAF Champions League.
LAFC also won it.
LAFC won a playoff match against, I think it was America.
No, but they also won the Champions
they won the
League.
Champions League a
Yeah,
couple years
that's what
ago.
got them into the tournament.
Everybody else kind of did something relevant.
They're either highly ranked enough or they won their continent's
Yep.
Champions League, you know? And then you got Miami who comes in. Let's be real here. It's for publicity.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
for
It's for the
it's to
vibe.
sell Messi to the country. You know that's the only reason. And like honestly, I'm here for it. Who doesn't want to see Messi play while you can? You know,
I mean,
but
I think it helps the tournament.
I think so
it is-
too. I think it
well,
definitely brings more eyes to the
But they better
tournament.
play well.
I mean,
Exactly.
we probably thought it helped the tournament, but there's a ton of reports now that are talking about the lack of ticket sales. And
Right.
I just saw it literally right before the show went on air. They're talking about, the headline was, just watch Messi for $3.50 on Saturday, whenever they play Saturday at night. And
Ridiculously
to
cheap.
watch
My
a
God.
soccer game for $3.50.
That's how you know there's a lack of attendance.
You can't even buy a drink at the stadium for.
Yeah, literally. I feel like a beer at Alvalade or Stadio de Luz.
Yeah,
It's like €5. You know what I
You
mean?
go to Red Bull right here and you
Beer's
pay
15.
yeah,
Yeah,
$15 for
15.
the
Yeah,
beer. So
it's crazy.
the lack of tickets is, I mean, it can go into a lot of different things, and I don't know if anyone wants to touch on that, but
It's a little rough, and supposedly ICE is supposed to be at these tournaments.
That's another thing.
Guarding
Yeah.
the tournaments.
showing security.
Yeah, so honestly I feel like that's gonna bleed the tournament a little bit more. I don't think a lot of people are gonna show up,
Well,
especially
we
immigrants for sure not
Yeah.
gonna show up.
We see what ICE does in Newark, right? Less people are at the barbershops. Less people
Right, exactly.
are walking the streets. It's a shame. Compound that with already, people aren't that interested.
To begin with,
Along
exactly.
with the time.
The time is another factor.
Right.
Immigrants love soccer, so that's another thing. You may get some immigrants.
Well,
in
you're
a
definitely
nice
gonna
environment.
get people. It's not
For
like it's
sure.
gonna be 0 people, but
But it hurts.
these stadiums are like 80,000 people. I don't think they're going to be filling 80,000
That's
seats.
another
You know,
problem,
that's where the main issue is, at least to me, you know?
So also logistically, I don't think FIFA did a good enough job with planning that.
Right.
So we talk about Benfica and Bayern, 2 big clubs in Europe. Like one of the biggest clubs in Europe is Bayern Munich. Benfica is one of the biggest clubs in Portugal.
Most storied clubs in
and
Europe,
won Champions Leagues before and consistently in the Champions League. And they're playing in North Carolina.
That is
Of
a-
all places, right.
That is an enormous mistake.
And
Right.
I don't know if it
Get
was
them in Foxborough.
27,000 that we saw. 27,000 tickets sold
Yeah, it's
out of a stadium with
it's like 70,000.
almost
'Cause
70,000.
it's
a
all
massive
NFL
stadium.
stadiums. The NFL stadiums are massive,
It's
you
a
know?
quarter of the. You're packing a quarter of the stadium
It's going to look so
with
bad on
2 of
camera.
the biggest European clubs.
Right.
It just looks very bad.
It looks awful.
I agree with that.
When you look at that, and you could take Benfica to Massachusetts, you could take Benfica to New Jersey, you could take Benfica to
California, maybe.
Nobody playing in New York, but maybe Cali and
Cali, for sure. Cali has the most Portuguese immigrants in the
Yeah,
country.
so they gotta be a lot smarter, and don't be surprised if that's the case next year in the World Cup. And I know it's a draw or whatever it is,
Right,
but
right.
I'm sure there was logistical challenges, right? Like
Yeah.
you wanted.
There always will,
there
especially in a
always will
country
be.
this massive.
Yeah.
There always will be. You
Yeah.
know,
So
it's not
I-
like
I'm sure-
hosting in Portugal, which is you could drive top
Anywhere.
to bottom
Yeah.
in like 10 hours. You
With the
know?
concentration of stadiums, of course.
Right.
And I'm sure they prioritize, some Mexican teams. Let's get them in the south.
Yeah,
you know.
that makes sense. Yeah, makes
Let's
sense.
get them in California. So there was probably things they had to prioritize. I wish they prioritized Benfica.
Yeah, of course. As a
they're really
Benfica
far from it,
supporter,
yeah.
of course. Yeah, that makes sense.
But the challenges will prevail. There's a lot of obscure teams playing at an obscure time in a weird part in America.
Speaking of, actually, what team are you most looking forward to outside of like the normal team? Normal. I don't want to use the word normal, but like
Sure.
the more well-known
Yeah.
teams. Who are you looking forward to the most of watching?
I'll let you go. Okay.
I don't want to say City, but City is an interesting team, not because like you don't know how good they are, but they just bought 4
Yeah.
players, whatever it was, in a week and a half. In
Only
this,
City.
in this little transfer window that you get,
Yeah.
because every team was granted a 10-day or 12-day,
just
whatever,
about, yeah.
transfer window
Madrid got Trent in.
to sign players. That'll be an interesting thing too. But you want to see how City does it. And I was talking to Jonathan, and the lack of trophies that City won, I think, this year is going to be a major part in how they play in this tournament. I think they're
Agreed.
going to go all in.
Agreed.
I
I think for them it's more ego than it is financial.
it's a way
Yeah.
big ego thing. They don't need the money, but Pep is an egomaniac. and
Pep
he is-
can't lose.
He's a super
anything,
competitive
yeah,
person, and that's not a
exactly.
knock. That's every successful person is super competitive and
Very
an
true.
egomaniac, and I just want to see how that's going to play in. And obviously, I think they'll run through the group, but later on, how that goes.
Would you consider them like your favorites for the tournament?
I think it's impossible to say any team besides PSG right now is a favorite.
Yeah,
Granted,
I
how
kind of agree with
they
that,
ran
yeah.
through Europe,
Ran through everybody.
and nobody was really a
The
challenge.
closest I would say is probably Liverpool and Villa.
Yeah, Liverpool was close. They took them penalties. Villa took them to 1 goal and cleared off the line, and then they beat Arsenal, and then destroyed one of the
Destroyed
most
Inter.
organized teams in the world.
Organized, historic.
And then and then
Ripped
you watch
apart.
those players play in the Nations League. We're talking about the Portuguese players, and Nuno Mendes does what he did to Yamal and how he's been playing.
Best left back in the world
It's
right now.
just tough to see PSG
Might be the
lose.
best wing back. Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's just tough to see PSG lose, but I think City's right
Yeah,
behind them.
I think they would be up there too.
And it depends on how PSG takes this tournament.
Right,
They just
right.
played a billion games and nobody has had a rest. Do they take their foot off the gas? They
Personally,
also
I don't think
need
they
money.
will. I don't think they will.
I also don't think Luis
Yeah.
Enrique is like that. So
Yeah,
that's why I can
he's
see it.
just like Pep,
Yeah.
serial winner, super egotistical, super. It has to be that, you know,
Yeah.
and like
I think that's one thing that works in FIFA's favor.
Yes.
Like one thing they're probably, clenching on.
on.
Thank God that
Yeah.
this is the case. That City has a lot to play for.
Yep.
And
Right.
that Pep is very disappointed about.
Bayern has a lot to play for.
Bayern has something to prove as well. Madrid probably as well.
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
I mean,
Xavi-
they choked 3 trophies in one season,
Yeah.
which
So-
they were like poised to win.
And they
so
got a brand new coach. They got some new signings.
yeah, they want to show up, show out. You know?
So I think if I were to rank, who may win this, I'd put it right there with those 3. I think PSG could and may, or should rather, deprioritize this tournament. These guys have played a lot of football.
That's true.
So even if he doesn't do it like full send, like I'm not putting on, maybe take out Vitinha or Dembele early. Like I
Even
think
rest Nuno Mendes
that's
or
understood. I think City, Bayern, and Real have a lot to play for.
So the
think
final
so,
is
too.
July 13th.
Yes, here at MetLife.
So the finals in July 13th. Most of these leagues start back up the
Like a
first,
month later. Oh, is it the first? I
No,
thought it
I'm
was
saying
more
the
like.
first week or the middle of the first of the
It's been
second week
pushed back
of
further
August.
and further.
But they're not going to. They're going to keep the same deadline, and people are
So-
going to leave here. Like the finalists, whoever wins, they're going to leave here, and like 2 weeks later, they're going to start the league.
And that's what I'm getting to. So if PSG really wants to go full throttle and end their season in where are we? June? In June.
Yeah.
Play until July, have a week and a half, 2
can't.
weeks off.
They can't.
They're going to burn everybody out.
It's gonna be
It's going to be a rough season next year.
Granted, their league is not the most competitive, so they can
Right,
get
but
away
like
with it. But
Do you want to, but can you really play around with that? Like, do you,
exactly.
you want to risk a bad start?
Like if you
The
look
thing
at
that
City
matters
this
most-
year, City lost Rodri for most of the year and they fell apart. You know what I mean? That was one player.
3 months that they
God forbid
couldn't win a game.
PSG loses Vitinha for most of the year, who's their like midfield maestro. They might not just have the same like emphasis that they have currently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and the French league, to your point, is very manageable. It's some of these big clubs are very fortunate in that not every week is this like super cerebral battle
Right,
between
right,
two managers.
right.
The Prem is like that. Every week you could get
I mean,
really humble,
every club in the Prem has top tier managers. You know?
for the most part,
Yeah.
except for this year.
Southampton. and-
Except for those three clubs. at the
Yeah,
bottom.
Yeah, it happens. Thank
but
God
yeah.
for those three, because Tottenham and Man United would have had a terrible
You see what
season.
happened to those guys.
A terrible season without those three.
So, PSG, even Bayern to a degree, they're a little blessed in that they could take some weeks off for sure. But I'm worried about player health, performance.
Yes.
And when does a preseason start if your first game is in the middle of August?
Right.
Like, you
And
have
if
to ramp
anything,
up for game
would
fitness.
you say that gives teams not in the tournament like a competitive edge because they get a longer preseason, or would this like be considered? I know it's not preseason, but like would they like use it as preseason?
So I mean,
It can't be because the guys need vacation.
Right, that's true. They
there's
need to
never
recoup.
a time to
Yeah.
just get away from everything and
That's
just
true.
recover, right?
Recharge the
A,
batteries.
a soccer player is in such a professional one is in really good shape. So they take some time off. They need to get ramped back up again.
Right.
And that could take a couple weeks. So,
It's usually what preseason's for.
of
Yeah.
course,
It's even why the
preseason is
first,
notoriously very difficult.
and that's
Yeah.
why the first 2, 3, first month of this every season, a lot of teams you can't figure them out yet, right?
Yeah, exactly.
A
They're
couple
not at their
teams,
peak, yeah.
a lot of teams drop points. You see teams that get promoted steal points from
Right,
everybody,
right,
right? Because everyone's kind of at the same fitness level for a little bit, and
Until the pack starts forming.
until
yeah.
until you get your legs under you and the talent beats that out, but
Right.
you don't know.
Just to get back to our point about like clubs that we're excited to see, aside from this like European bias that you're full of, because we want to just talk about European clubs all the time. All of us have.
But honestly, I'm more excited to see other teams.
Exactly. I'm
besides
excited
Europe.
to see
Yeah.
like those domestic champions out of South America.
Right.
Let's see
Egypt.
Casablanca being
I want-
Manchester
I
City.
want Iguodala.
I would love that. I would love for every team outside of Europe to beat every European team.
Porto just
I would
played
love that.
Casablanca last week, and I had to watch through that.
It was a friendly, right?
It was a friendly, and that stadium was packed to the last seat in the house, and it
Wow.
was a friendly.
And that was where?
In Morocco, yeah.
Yeah, I mean Moroccans are crazy
And
about
it
soccer
was
though, so that makes
insane.
sense.
It was insane.
Yeah.
How'd you guys do?
They won 1-0. Porto won 1-0.
Look at that.
It's not bad. It's not for a no-name team from.
Don't let a Moroccan here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to the European mind, it's a no-name
Yeah.
team. But Casablanca is like the Real Madrid of that country. You
Yeah.
know, they win leagues almost
year.
every year, essentially. You know.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I'll be excited to see it. Especially, I think South American teams are.
That's what I'm
are
most excited
surprisingly.
for.
Not surprisingly, they're much better now than they were,
For sure.
say, a decade ago.
Yes, yes.
Much more
Totally.
evolved in the way they play. We see it sometimes when I think last year when City played this version of the Club World Cup. Was it against?
The Intercon.
Yeah, it was against a
Intertoto.
Brazilian club, and they, you could
it
see it.
Flamengo?
There's,
Was it Palmeiras?
I think it was
Or it
Palmeiras.
might have been Palmeiras. Yeah.
It's conflicting styles, very different, but I think Boca could give Benfica a ton of problems.
Right.
River
I'm
Plate's
excited
gonna
to
be
see
good.
Boca play. Like.
Even when it was Flamengo and Liverpool, actually, Klopp's
Right,
Liverpool.
yeah.
And they went to, I think, extra time.
They did. That was when
It
Jorge
was-
Jesus was there.
Jesus
Yeah.
was the coach, and that was a great game, too.
Yeah. I think a lot of, especially the Brazilian teams, I think they can surprise a lot of people. You know.
I was looking at past winners. Brazilian clubs had won it from like 2000 to like 2006. It was
The
a lot of-
Libertadores?
this version of the Club World Cup.
Oh,
the
okay.
Intercontinental Cup.
Gotcha.
They had done really well. And then the European FAs were like, oh, not every European team could even qualify for this.
Right,
They kind
right.
of disvalued
Disassociated,
it.
yeah.
They kind of removed themselves from it. But now we're here. It's official. So it'll be cool to see.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. I'm very much looking forward to like the Asian teams playing.
For sure.
Because these are teams you never really
don't
see on
watch.
TV. You know what I mean? So it's fun to like see
I'm worried, yeah.
Casablanca or Al Ahly or Al Ain or.
However, I'm worried about some blowouts. Like if
That's-
City
yeah.
or Bayern take a game seriously against a bad MLS team,
Yeah, oof.
you might see a big score.
Like I said, hot take. I think all the MLS teams are gonna get blown out
Yeah,
at least
that
once.
hot.
At least once.
Maybe
Not every
maybe
game,
twice.
but maybe at least
looking
once.
you're looking at Bayern versus Auckland City
That could
as
get
the
ugly.
first game.
Yeah,
Get out.
they're New Zealand, so like we know the pool in New Zealand's not exactly the strongest,
Yeah,
but
And we're
you
talking
never know.
about-
Like you were saying before, it's contrasting systems you've never played against. Like
it'll mean a lot to them, fine. But there's only so much that
yeah.
that will
can
and
take you.
desire to
Yeah,
take,
that's true.
Unfortunately, you would
That's
have to
true.
catch Bayern on
I'm very
A
bad.
day off.
a
yeah.
really, really bad
Right.
day, and you would
Same
have
with
to have,
City or PSG or any
you'd have
of
to have the
them
best game of your life
to get a draw.
and hope that the 12 o'clock kickoff is too early for Bayern Munich to wake
Yeah,
up.
literally though, literally.
Yeah, you kind of bank on
Literally.
circadian rhythm to be an issue. Yeah, you hope they're groggy.
Well, you look at that. The next, right after that, Bayern game is PSG Atletico Madrid,
That's a great one.
That's a good game.
and then Porto and Palmeiras right after that. It's a great day.
Personally, I feel like there's maybe too many European teams
Yeah, I can see that too.
in this tournament because I don't know if I were to do the ideal tournament, it'd be one. Every group would have one representative from Europe or like Africa or the United States or South America instead of having like double, like Atletico and
So then you go,
PSG.
like it's technically you'd go back to the Intercontinental Cup. It would be, which was every winner of every continent.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of unfair, but you kind of understand it. Like the European team was always in the semifinal. or
Always have the
automatic.
most money, dude.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So like they wouldn't have to play like 3 rounds prior to that, and
Which
they
is
just
kind of
sit there.
unfair.
That's what I'm saying. It's unfair, but you understand it, right?
Right,
Like,
right.
Do you really want Real Madrid to show up and play one of these teams like Auckland City? and-
Right. I mean, Auckland would love that.
Yeah,
you
right.
know, like that's the exciting part
And
of
I think
this
they used to be
tournament.
held in like Japan, or like it was
Yeah,
somewhere
yeah.
far away.
They
that
just
was-
pick somewhere
Yeah,
in the world, and
A lot of them have been in Saudi Arabia recently, so it was like
Well,
FIFA
there's
kind
a
of
ton
taking
of money
advantage
over
of
there,
that.
right? So
Yeah.
hot take. FIFA been dealing a lot with dictators lately
Oh yeah.
since 2018.
Yeah, even this week.
Yeah, this week, yeah, literally.
so you have
It's crazy.
the next, not the next World Cup is in Portugal and Spain, right? 2030,
Well, the one after this one, yeah.
and then the
one here,
and then the one after that one is in Saudi Arabia, 2034.
right? And I think they're solo hosting
Yes.
that
It's a lot
tournament
of stadiums.
that they're building probably a week before.
Yeah, yeah.
Just saying. Just saying.
It's going to be big for FIFA. This matters a lot, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
It matters a lot about generating hype around the World Cup next year, which
And-
there's natural hype.
If anything, this is a good like showcase for a lot of players that never get the limelight out like Auckland City. Maybe they have some baller kid who plays there
Who knows?
that nobody knows who he is.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
Benfica will buy him.
Maybe. I mean, they brought Freddie Adu. They could do worse.
Yeah.
It's tough. So I think we talked about the times and how they're not really the best times. A lot of people work, and
Right.
you kind of get it and you kind of don't. Like next year in the World Cup, I'm well 80% sure it's going to be the same exact timing.
I'll
think
take
so
I'll take
too,
off.
yeah.
World Cup.
You just need
Yeah,
to.
but the World Cup's different.
You
you
just
know?
need to because they need to be shown all over the world, right?
Right, right.
But you're going to have, in my opinion, a variety of different fans attending that.
Yes.
So like you won't go watch Fluminense Dortmund at 12 o'clock at MetLife tomorrow or whenever the game is Monday, but you'll go watch Brazil versus Germany there.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And you're
Well,
not.
that's true, though. That's a
you're
good
neither
point.
German or Brazilian.
Right.
But you'd go watch
But
it
it's a
because
higher
you like it.
standard, I guess.
Correct.
You know.
And it's just different, right? Like
Right.
you're also you're a Spartan fan. You wouldn't go watch Porto Benfica if you didn't have any care for, right?
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Unless like one of your friends bought you a ticket and you're like, oh, let's go.
Just for the love of the game.
Yeah, right. But you'd go watch a random game in the World Cup, like you'd probably
I
go
would.
watch Japan versus.
I mean, I like
Whatever,
Japan,
right?
so
Well,
like,
yeah, but
yeah.
it's Japan
So I
is
definitely
not-
would. Yeah.
Japan is
Here's
not a
the-
team that has no emotional attachment to you.
No. Besides me liking anime, no, not really.
Here's a super obscure game.
Is that the Sundowns one? I just saw
Yeah,
it.
Ulsan, which is a team out of South Korea, plays the Mamelodi Sundowns
From
at
South
6 p.m.
Africa.
Where? In Orlando, Florida.
In Orlando.
Yeah. So like, imagine who's gonna read like, as an American, who's gonna be like, yeah, that's the game.
That's the
Right,
game I wanna
right.
watch,
Like, it's
I mean, like For what was the
Yeah,
South
they're
African
sicko.
team name again?
It's not the Sundowns or the
Sundowns, right. I mean, they might get Americans just because they look like Brazil, because their kits are exactly the same as Brazil.
It's confusion.
So like, people might be like, oh, Brazil's in town, let's go watch.
Would you think that the Club World Cup was better suited playing at soccer-specific stadiums than football stadiums?
Yes,
I think the Club World Cup would have been better in a soccer-specific country.
Yeah, my opinion
Oh,
on
that's
this
You
one.
know, like we were talking about Morocco before. Every game would be
I
filled.
get that.
Every
but
game.
I also get the fact that like the World Cup's here next year. So you
Right,
can
and
only
I
do
understand
both
that too. And you
together,
gotta
But
get
what
the
you're saying
money.
is,
You got that.
You know, so
since they've done it here, should they have used Red Bull Arena?
Should they have used Red Bull instead of MetLife? So you have
and that's the funny thing because they said it was too small.
so you have 25,000 instead of 80,000 at MetLife.
But this one would have been full.
You would have packed
Serves them
that
right.
one out.
Yeah,
Serves them right.
Yeah, kinda. I agree with
You would
that.
have packed that out. You could have
Uh-huh.
charged whatever you wanted because there's only 25,000 seats.
Right.
Instead of, hey, we got 80,000 people. Palmeiras and Porto, two big teams in their own continent.
Yeah.
Probably won't even get nowhere close to.
No
I'm,
way.
I'm gonna tell you, there's no way.
I don't
They're
even think they're gonna
close
hit
to
50.
80,000.
It's hard to
Yeah.
fill that stadium.
Exactly.
It's,
Yeah.
it's a huge
You can't
stadium.
even get the actual
Right.
Jets fans to go
Right, exactly.
to the
Right.
MetLife. So let alone.
And it would have made for a better like ambiance and
Yeah,
maybe
the stadium's
games.
smaller. it's
Smaller,
closer,
right, exactly.
And you wouldn't see all these horrible headlines about.
Yeah. So it's.
I agree with that.
That might have been a poor decision on their part.
Yeah.
Definitely, I think it was a.
Infantino was
I
never
think it
going
was
to choose
greed,
this.
dude.
Yeah.
I think because
It's
bigger
always-
stadiums, more tickets, more
course.
revenue. So, like, in a
Is
way,
it-
I
is it-
understand why they did it.
Is it
but-
more revenue if you're selling tickets for $4 instead
Right,
of-
but when
the
they
final
made,
level.
but when they made those decisions, they didn't expect that. You know, they thought they were gonna sell out, and like everybody was gonna be excited.
Messi came here. Was it last year? 2 years ago?
I think it was like 2 years ago.
Whatever. First time he came here to play Red Bull, and the ticket was like $530.
Yeah, I remember that. And people were for nosebleeds.
Yeah.
it was like
It was a
$500.
big deal. Did he ever
Yeah.
play in that game?
He did play.
Yeah, I remember there was
Yeah,
stories about
yeah,
that too.
traveled
People would get angry because like away supporters would want refunds because Messi wouldn't play.
And that one was a big one because he was playing in Argentina. He had just played a national game, and he flew back. And I think he went in the second half. I think he ended up, but he had an assist to win the game, whatever he did.
Messi
But-
things.
Yeah, right. But
Hate that guy.
can you
I'm joking.
can you afford to change that? I think that was a different decision they should have probably made. Put in Porto Palmeiras at Red Bull Arena would have been sold out.
I think it would have been sold out too, especially in this area.
Yeah.
It's all Portuguese and Brazilians.
Everyone would have walked there.
Yeah.
They would have
Right across the bridge. Yeah.
Brandon would have showed up hammered.
No, we're professionals.
We would have gone to Border Brazza right here around the corner, and we would have gone there.
That would have been a lot of fun for sure.
I think it was a poor decision.
I think so too. I think honestly, it's been kind of like poorly planned. I guess this whole tournament.
I mean, naturally
and
so.
it's just FIFA trying to catch up with UEFA, in my opinion. Like they want a tournament that's just as important as the Champions League, which is crazy because they have the World Cup. But like, I guess it's not enough, you know?
Yeah. It obviously isn't enough.
Yeah, it's crazy to me, and I feel the worst is for the players. Like we were mentioning before, the workload is crazy for these players, and
Yeah.
like we're gonna see more and more injuries popping up throughout the year, which will derail possibly
Everyone's
like
season.
Porto season, for example, or Liverpool season, or
We spoke about this a
Don't hope
little
not.
earlier. I hope not. Yeah, fingers crossed. I hope there's no injuries.
knock on wood.
Christian Pulisic is receiving a lot of criticism for opting out of the Gold Cup, which I don't blame him. I wouldn't want to play it either
Right.
for the U.S. men's national team. They stink.
They're so bad right now, I know.
But he made a point. He said, I'm going through something. I haven't had a summer off in 3 seasons. He just wants a break.
Right.
I mean, I just saw him post
And
a
they
picture
deserve a
of-
break as well.
Do you
his
take
girlfriend and
PTO?
family?
I
Right.
don't take PTO. Like,
Right.
we hold these
I don't
guys
think they make double time. You know what I mean?
we hold
Like,
these guys to a standard. We're like, oh, he needs to man up and play. Like they're human beings. They need to take time off, and they're probably not going to have much time off this year. So
yeah,
I
I don't think so
also
either.
we're talking about the Gold Cup.
horrific tournament as well. But yeah.
Very
It's
low.
for another.
very,
That's for another episode.
very low quality, but I think that also, and we could talk about the importance of this tournament, but the importance of that tournament is just always diminishing.
Yeah,
When
agreed.
you don't have a
Agreed.
set, consistent schedule of these tournaments, that's what happens. So, Copa America had one every year for 5
Like
years.
yeah,
And
trying to
then
get
they
Messi
took off.
that
They
championship.
took off 1 year, and then they had one the year after, and it was just like, what is going on? Like,
Right.
are we having this every 2 years? Are we having this every
Right,
4
right.
years?
Now the
And
reason they
the Gold
did that
Cup does
was
the same thing.
for the Centenario. It was
They
the
had one
100th year.
in the middle of that, and then they had one in I think that was in Uruguay. They had one in Chile.
Yeah,
Chile
yeah.
won, and it's just too much, right?
These
Yeah.
things matter because there's heritage, there's there's like this expectation. The World Cup is every 4 years. If they really wanted to make a money grab, make it every 2 years.
Every 2 years.
Right,
But no,
exactly.
it's every 4 years. People's legacies are dependent on, this
Yep.
guy won one World Cup or
Right,
one
right.
Cup. Like, so if you increase the frequency of that, maybe a guy will have way more World Cups, right? These
Loses
things loses the value, right?
yeah.
So there is this like value assigned to these things. As soon as you start playing with it, fans are like, it must not matter that
Yeah, you
much.
lose the World Cup and you get pissed about it, and you're like, damn, we got to wait another 4 years to have a crack at it. You lose the Euro, it's the same thing. Like, damn, lost the Euro, you have another 4 years at it. And it's just like, are we playing in the Nations League or are we playing in the Copa America? Are we playing in the Gold Cup?
Right,
You know,
right,
It's
right.
kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So I just think that'll lose that importance. And I think this tournament, the importance of it is, besides, I would say, like those top European teams, I don't know how they rank it on their level of importance. Again, City
I
probably
would say
does.
probably depends team to team.
Yeah, I think it does. Like, are you going all out to win this? I don't know if a lot of teams are.
The one thing I would say that they probably might is just ego. Everybody wants to be the first winner.
First,
you know what I mean? The
guess
first
you can
Club
attach
World
yourself
Cup
to the
winner. You
Club
know,
World Cup, right?
and like you were saying before, City has a chance to win a title now. You know, whether it's like on the same level as the Premier League or the Champions League or whatever, that's up for debate. But at least they don't finish the season with no trophies.
It'll end up mattering, right? It could be something that
think so,
catapults
too.
you next season, right? Like you give that a group confidence, like that could be meaningful for City.
Right.
Because they're
That's true
domestic
too.
league
Like
is so
people
difficult.
can rally behind it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, even like firsthand, like Porto's under scrutiny, the coach is under scrutiny. If he ends up having a shocking tournament and they get to like the quarterfinals or something, or semifinals magically, and they do well, like everyone's off his back, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
we have some leeway.
I think
Yeah, that's
Laj's
true.
Laj's seat is always going to be hot as well. Like if we crash out and burn from this tournament, it's going to look awful on Benfica. If he does really well, it'll look well again. We'll be like, oh man, maybe Laj is the guy. So
We'll keep them a little
Yeah,
bit longer.
exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, personally though, like, I don't know. I'm hoping a team outside of Europe wins this. You know, because like, as a soccer fan, I would love to see it. I know. Also, I can say that because neither of my teams are in this tournament.
Yeah.
I don't got Spartak in this tournament. I don't got Liverpool in this tournament. So I can say that confidently. I want a team like Boca to win, or like a River Plate, or even a Flamengo. That's what I'm hoping
I'll have to
for.
respectfully disagree.
Johnny just wants
Oh,
to see
yeah.
party in the streets.
I
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
He just wants to see the Argentinians
I
go
really
crazy.
do.
Okay.
I want to see.
Is there a Colombian team? There's a
There's
shame
no-
there
there's
isn't.
no
a
No, there's no
Colombian
Colombian teams, which goes back to my previous point. I think there's too many European teams. Too many European
Yeah.
teams, not enough like representation from others. There's one Oceanic team, which is Auckland City.
Well, does that bring back to your?
There's no Australians.
Is it the same ratio as the World Cup?
And is it the same?
Right, that's true too.
Who will bring in the most money? Will it be
Yeah.
a team from New Zealand, Australia, or will it be a team from Germany?
Yeah, and that makes sense. But like, if we're gonna look at like populations, Australia has more people than England. You know?
Yeah, but that's not how the world works.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
facts. That's true. Yeah.
People, yeah, but you could probably find more people in a small town in England that watch soccer than
That's
people
also
in-
true. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. That's like asking like why Indians don't like soccer. You know,
They're the
like.
biggest population.
Yeah, or even Americans. Why Americans don't like soccer?
That's a big-
You got the NFL and they got the NBA and the NHL. We're like 4th or 5th on the tier list of caring, I guess. You know.
It's
But-
growing. I think young kids care about it more. We just need those guys to become adults and make money.
Right.
And then they'll buy
right,
tickets.
Right.
yeah.
True.
But yeah.
So a lot of those kids are immigrants or immigrant kids. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
And I think that's what's pushing the sport
Absolutely.
more in this country, which is crazy again because let me remind you, ICE is going to be at these tournaments and at every stadium. So if you're going to go watch, just be careful, please. Like carry documents. If you're illegal, probably don't go because
Well, if you
yeah,
go,
it's going to be rough.
If you go, don't show them anything or don't.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
Know your rights.
Yeah, yeah.
Know your rights.
It's a shame, honestly. Yeah, the president's definitely not helping. The ICE and the activity with ICE is you see the riots in California. It's riots and protests, rather protests. I mean, some of it may become rioting, but it's
Right.
it's a shame. I think it hurts the tournament.
I think so. too. I think it hurts the main World Cup.
As well.
Because people are going to see how this tournament unfolds and how our country reacts
There's
throughout
a-
this tournament,
there's a
and it might
big-
dictate a lot.
Big cloud over the tournament if they can't figure anything out like that.
There's gonna be a
Right.
lot. Yeah.
And
Right.
I'm not talking about just this tournament. You're talking about
World
next
Cup,
year. right?
Olympics are coming here, you know?
Oh, I completely forgot
It's
about
big.
that.
I'm sure they're
2028.
gonna.
In LA.
I'm sure
Yeah,
there's
in
gonna
LA.
be, there's gonna be some communication that says no headlines, keep everything copacetic for sure.
Right.
Because
Like, do you think like now? Obviously, I don't want anything to like devolve or anything. But if things were to happen, you think FIFA might revoke the World Cup from the U.S.?
I think it's in FIFA and America's best interest that the World Cup occurs here. Right?
I think
you
so,
want
too.
you want that big
That's
U.S.
exactly what I
dollar.
was gonna
you
say.
want
Yeah,
that
exactly.
revenue. That's not going to change. What they will derail is bad headlines, bad press. I think that's top of mind for
Yeah.
for FIFA
And
for the-
attendance.
I
I
agree.
mean, like,
The
you'll
attendance,
get more attendance
unfortunately-
for the World Cup. You'll get more.
Yeah,
but
I don't know
people
how-
might be scared. You know?
That's going to be a bad headline. I don't know how much of that you could fix. You know,
Right. Right.
It was poorly planned from the beginning. You've got really obscure teams in weird places in the country. It's really hard to manufacture interest in a sport.
Right.
price
And for
point.
like the first tournament, I think they should have went to a more like historically soccer country.
Of course, it
you
would
know?
have been a massive
Because it would have been way more of a success.
Yeah.
Here, I think it's a bit of a gamble. I get why they came here. American dollar, super powerful, we're the richest country on the planet. You're going to make a lot here, and teams are going to make a lot by coming here. But the turnout might be a little bit low, just from casuals. You know,
Yeah.
not even just supporters, just casuals, which make up a good number of people that go to matches.
Of course.
I think you might get a decent amount of people next year in like fan zones. I know they're setting up a
Right,
couple. I did hear there's going to be one in Liberty State Park
That's
in Jersey
cool.
City. There'll be a big fan zone
Nice,
there.
cool.
So I think that'll be an interesting thing. I think that'll be a fun time. But again, you just have to see what happens this year in terms of attendance.
Right. It's
and-
a lot of questions.
We're pretty blessed to have it all happening here at MetLife. You know, I'm
The
really
train
glad.
ride, right?
Jersey.
Yeah, you know, we're really fortunate in that regard. So I'm excited. I love soccer, right? We
Same.
love soccer.
Yeah, of course.
There is a lot of negativity around it. I want it to be as as great as it could possibly be, but being realistic, I think there are some challenges. But having these teams in your neighborhood playing, a couple miles away from you is really exciting.
Yeah, no, a lot of people don't get that opportunity, you know?
Especially here.
Especially
Yeah,
here,
especially
exactly. Unless soccer-wise, at least, because
Of course.
MetLife, you can go watch the Jets or whatever. But like for soccer,
Is that a privilege?
Don't go.
but for like soccer, like a lot of the people here don't get that opportunity to see a Bayern Munich come play live,
Yeah.
unless it's like a preseason tournament
That's what I have memories of, right? Whenever Benfica does their U.S. tour occasionally, we'd go and we see it. Friendly soccer is always
No, but
a
you guys
weird-
have got it more recent than last time Porto
Right.
came was 2004 or 5.
I mean, every year-
Wow, it's
20
been
years
that
ago,
long.
yeah.
Wow.
It's been a
It's
long
been that
time.
Benfica's
long,
come a lot
20
more
years.
Yeah, Benfica has been here a couple times. I remember not too long, maybe like 5 years ago. They came 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's tough, like you have family here that watches every game and wishes they could go.
Right,
and you can't
exactly.
go there and watch every
Right,
game. So
right.
just having the team around here, and again, I said in the beginning, like the way they've been cooperating with the fans that are here and appreciating what's going on, I think that just goes a super long way to building a connection.
trust,
and you
kinda?
just like, it just makes you, again, they've had a horrible season, and the people that showed up and the people who are talking about them and going to the game on Sunday, like, don't care.
Right.
Because they're here,
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
right? So like, you forget that
Makes
they were
sense.
awful all year.
Yeah, but
And
it doesn't
it's
matter. Porto's here.
And it doesn't
Yeah.
matter, exactly. So,
Benfica's here.
I think
Bayern's here.
That's what's so special. Like,
Yeah, I agree with that.
even if, and then we're just talking about the Portuguese team because we're Portuguese here, but like, if you're a Spanish,
Hey, I'm a
person-
Liverpool fan, and like my favorite memory was when they came to MetLife like 5 years ago.
Yeah, and it's just because they were here, right?
Yeah, exactly. I got
game
to
can
see
be-
my team play.
The game can mean nothing, and you're like, okay, wow, they're
Yeah,
here.
I loved it. And it was just a random friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, just to get that experience of like, we're Portuguese. We go to Portugal. We can catch a game. I saw Sporting last time I went, but I've never seen Liverpool play live unless they were here. So like, I totally understand where you're coming from.
But you also can't do that every weekend, right? I mean,
Right,
I wish you
exactly.
could, but
Yeah,
you just can't do
same.
it.
Yeah, facts.
You can't just drop everything you need to do and go on the weekend and watch 5 English games and
Right,
a Portuguese
right.
game, right? So
Yeah,
That's
that's
true.
not a reality here, unfortunately.
That's
right?
true.
So we have plenty of Spaniard friends, Brazilian friends. I hope your teams are here. I hope you get to go watch them. I think that's really exciting. That's what soccer's all about, right?
Right, and I'm more excited for like, it's like the World Cup. It's always like community,
Yeah.
like fans. I don't know. I've never really seen. I'm sure it happens, and maybe it's just the media that doesn't show you. But like, seems like fans are always like cool. You know what I mean? At tournaments, and like they're just like, enjoying the experience. And obviously, you get the ultras sometimes that do some
Yeah,
wild
pick it up,
things,
yeah.
but
no, but I think we have some memories of the Euro. Was it the Euro last year, the year before, whenever it was, and like the Dutch fans were partying with everybody.
Right, yeah, I remember that.
In general, people are good.
Yeah.
That's just true
Yeah.
in general. Like,
Yeah.
obviously,
Especially if
yeah.
you're going to the game, 90% of people that are going to watch an event, like especially like a soccer game, they're going because they love the team that's playing or they love the sport that's going. Like I've been to a ton of games where I have zero emotional attachment to
Right,
either
but
team.
it's the spectacle.
And you just want to watch what's going on,
Yeah,
right?
I'm the
Yeah.
same.
And like my intention is never to go there and just throw stuff around.
Right,
and
exactly,
fight anybody
right,
or-
exactly,
Even if
exactly.
it is my team and someone next to me is from the other team and like they're talking, that's just like they have the same passion I have. Like
Right.
me and Rui are watching the game, we're not chatting to each other. Like you might throw a dig or one or two, but
Yeah, but like it's
never
not.
gonna get
10.
physical, right?
Yeah, dude, I go watch Spartan games at Casa Benfica. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's never that serious.
yeah, exactly. And I think that sometimes people take it a little too seriously.
Yeah, yeah. Of
course.
You know,
Well, and that's where I
and
always
that's just
like-
what I'm hoping doesn't happen this tournament.
I
I
don't think
hope
it
it's
will.
just.
I don't-
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I think people are just gonna be excited to come and watch their teams.
If
people
that-
that
if they do come, yeah. I mean,
if they come.
let's start there.
Yeah. But like at least people who are here whose teams are coming to support, I'm sure they're gonna go. You know, like
How do you guys-
Madrid or Bayern, like we were saying, or PSG. Not that there's many French fans out here.
Yeah, I'm interested to see because one thing that's really good about the UCL, it's been successful here. CBS's coverage is
But yeah,
fantastic.
they arguably have the best soccer show on
They
television.
do. They win Emmys.
Yeah.
I wonder what the coverage for the Club World Cup's going to look like.
I think it's on TNT.
TNT?
TBS and TNT, right?
I don't
Okay.
know
So
who.
Turner has.
TBS.
Yeah, Turner owns both.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
so I'm
gotcha.
not sure who's on commentary or coverage, but
That'll be interesting too.
It
I
will
hate-
be interesting.
Commentary could be so bad. sometimes.
Yeah, I would love if they brought commentary from like different parts of the world.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, like, dude, African commentators are the best.
Yeah,
like, they make the
interesting.
game so entertaining. You know,
Yeah.
I would love to see that, but it's probably gonna be England. It's probably gonna be like Gary Neville. You know what I mean? Jamie Carragher,
We'll be reacting to it soon.
Micah Richards.
I'm interested
Us.
to see. Yeah, us, I hope so.
Luke Willman and Brian Dunseth. So
I don't know who either of those
Brian
gentlemen
Dunseth,
are.
used to play for the national team, and then you got
For the US?
yeah.
Oh, okay,
And
cool.
then you got Lauren Jarba as she's the host, and then the
Okay.
analyst is Mo Adams, Juan Pablo Angel.
Oh, I know him. Okay, I know
who's played
him.
for Raven.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that's
Luis
good.
Garcia.
We're actually all friends.
I think Luis Garcia from Liverpool.
Okay,
I think that's him.
cool.
And Brad Guzan, who was the goalie
Yeah,
and
Guzan, yeah.
still plays. Yeah,
Villa, yeah.
Still plays
Look at
for
the connection
Atlanta.
over here.
So we got a couple of those guys, but I mean, you'd probably hope that it was somebody else. But
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, we'll hope for the best, I guess.
As long as it's not Landon Donovan.
Oh man, I hope
no,
not.
no dig to Landon.
he's the one who.
a little bit of a dig,
Yeah.
but
Or, rather, what's the other guy with the redhead?
oh, Alexi Lalas.
Yeah,
I can't
he's
stand
Yeah,
He's
not a
someone
fan
we
either.
shouldn't
No, not at
Yeah.
all.
Bring in the Gary Nevilles, bring in Jimmy Carragher. At least they'll make it fun.
Carragher's under contract with CBS.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's true.
and
That's true.
Henri and
Like, yeah, they get-
was
they
it
get
Micah
people-
Richards? Yeah.
Yeah,
And
Micah
then there's
Richards.
There's a lady, the host.
Kay
She's-
Abdo. Yeah.
What's her name?
Kay
Kay
Abdo.
Abdo.
Kay Abdo. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you're so quick with it.
She has a good
He's a fan.
control of the podium, and I think they all respond well to
Yeah, I
the way
think so.
she leads the show.
Oh, she's awesome.
Yeah, they have a great show.
I am excited for the World Cup overall. Who do you think might be like best player of the tournament? If you were to just random guess out of, well,
Like
not a guess,
on
but
sheer performance, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Marmouche just like popped off. He's so good in terms of like sheer like output goals and
right,
stuff.
right.
That's a good question.
Considering that their group is also not the
Right, he might get numbers in the group
Yeah.
stages. Aktürkoğlu for sure as well. Yeah.
It's good and bad if they do well in this tournament because
then you get sold. Right?
you get sold and like it makes the team weaker, but at least you'll get paid.
At this
But
point, yeah, at this point.
Just want to see Vitinha play well and Nuno Mendes play well and
So do I.
push the Ballon d'Or drama a little bit forward.
Right, right.
True, that's true.
Push a little envelope a little forward.
You
'cause
think Vitinha's gonna win it?
I don't think he's going to win it. I think he has to be
Who do you
in
think
the
might win it?
top three.
I think Dembele is probably.
I think Dembele will win it. I think he's going to win it.
Should be Mo Salah, but that's just me being biased.
Oh, true.
I think Salah's exit of the Champions League by PSG and that round hurt him.
Yeah, agreed. But he did
But
have
he
a
had-
phenomenal
he had
season,
an-
though.
Insane. season.
Insane, like
I-
a renaissance.
I think the Ballon d'Or used to be less like
Stat.
statistical.
Yeah.
There used to be some throw-ins that were like legacy based. It's not like
Right, right.
Like if somebody,
like Pavel Nedved winning.
of course, like
Yeah.
Modric.
like this guy's an Modric, for
Modric,
instance.
yeah.
Some of it was just vibes, and I think that was like the magic about it.
Right.
Because it's like this like journalist thing in France, right? Like
Yeah.
I think Salah would make perfect sense. Like when you're going down the list and you're seeing the names, Ronaldo,
To me,
Messi.
right.
A little Salah in there would be nice.
Yeah, to me, I feel like he deserves it the most out of everybody this year. Again, I'm a Liverpool fan, so I could be biased.
Yeah.
But just objectively, phenomenal season. Like,
But when you talk
20,
about-
you
There's
get
also
20
Kai
goals,
Havertz.
and 20 goals and assists. You know what I mean?
You
Each.
talk about what Rodri did last year, 2.5, and then you look at what Vitinha did this year.
Right,
You
exactly.
can make a very big argument.
Agreed. No, I
You
totally
guys think
agree.
they're going to give it to the 5'6" Portuguese kid? Absolutely.
Nah, no way.
they wouldn't.
No way.
Not yet.
No way. I don't think so.
I don't think he
could have been playing like
will.
prime Kaká and they wouldn't give it to him. You know what I mean?
Did Deku win it? Deku had won it once.
No,
right?
in 2004 he got robbed from it.
He got robbed.
Yeah,
There
he
you go.
lost it that year.
They won the Champions League,
Yeah.
but he
a
should have won
comparable
it.
season.
But I think again, and just recently, like you look at what Rodri did, they won everything right last year, and he was the most influential player on the team. And you look at
Arguably
Vitinha-
deserves it being the most influential player.
Right, and you could argue who was the Vinicius was the guy up against Rodri, right? And you talk about that, but then you talk about like the way Vitinha played every single game, especially in the Champions League, he was by far
Right.
I
By
think,
far the best player in the Champions League, in my
And
opinion.
then they won everything. He just won. If you want to add it, I don't know if people don't. The Nations League to
He
it.
should, I mean, yeah.
I mean,
it's a
a
tournament,
trophy's a
right?
trophy, right?
And,
but
Play
then
pretty.
going back to that though, like the Ballon d'Or used to be individual. Like I don't think
Yeah.
what you win with your team it matters obviously, but it shouldn't dictate if you win or not. Like you shouldn't like Ronaldo said the other day, like you have to win the Champions League to win.
I think
I don't think that's
I
true.
think that's Ronaldo either doing Vitinha solid for Vitinha or for Dembele. Or
Right,
and
right.
also retroactively getting back on the Vinny train from last year.
Or taking a shot at another Barcelona player.
Yeah, I can see that too.
Yeah. And bolstering his own.
So I mean, you could definitely see that happening, but it's going to be interesting. I think it's a season where like there's no superstar for the first time in like.
Which is cool.
A
Like
long
I
time.
kind of miss when soccer was like that because like we've had that
Granted.
duopoly for 20 years.
I mean,
you know?
granted, Salah is one of the best players of the past 5
8
years,
years.
right? Like
8
whatever
years.
he's been on Liverpool.
Because
amount
like
of time.
he broke the record the first year he came until Holland broke it.
That's
Yeah.
why I think
But-
it makes sense to kind of give him that legacy one because he's an all-timer.
Yeah.
So
I think he deserves it more than Modric did the year he won.
I think I'm a big Modric guy.
Did he-
I love
he won
Modric
the-
too.
He won the Champions League that year.
Art.
Yeah.
And he made the
then
final of the
I
World
guess
Cup.
That pushed it
Yeah.
over the top.
But you're right. I think like if you were to do an all-time ranking at some point, Salah may be a notch or two
Hot take.
higher than.
I think Mo Salah is the greatest winger in Premier League history. A lot of Ronaldo fanboys don't like hearing that, but it's true.
I think Ronaldo's time in the Prem was too short.
It's too short, exactly.
I'm okay with that take. I mean, I think Henry probably has a shout, right?
Forward, not a
But then,
winger.
then when you go
He's a
to
left winger.
like you look at what Ronaldo did in the Premier League, and then it's kind of like completely changed player when he went to Madrid, right? So
Yeah, that's true.
You kind of forget what he was doing on
How he
United.
was as a player
'Cause
there compared to Madrid.
He was just like it's kind of like two different careers.
Yeah, I agree with that. I totally agree with
And
that.
sometimes you watch Salah and you're like, is that one-on-one ability really there? Other times it's like it is there, absolutely.
Yeah, I remember him sitting down Lisandro Martinez.
Yeah. But they're very different for sure.
I think so.
You're evaluating two very different players.
Yeah, same position. Well,
For sure.
different sides of it, but winger, you know.
Yeah.
But
I wouldn't be opposed to that Ronaldo and Salah take. I don't think so. I think that's a fair judgment. I call it, I guess.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it's a great shout.
yeah.
Salah's legacy is cemented, I think.
I think he deserves the Ballon d'Or, at least for this year. You know, Liverpool's been robbed a few Ballon d'Ors. Virgil van Dijk deserved it that year. Messi won. He got dribbled past three times all season. He got dribbled past 3 times all
You're
season.
preaching to the choir.
Oh
buddy.
man, sorry guys.
That guy has a couple of legacy ones for Yeah.
And like I personally, I love Messi. I think if you don't think Messi's one of the goats, like you don't love the sport.
Yeah.
Personally, you know what I mean. Like we were very blessed. I was talking to Rui before. Very blessed to get 2. Oh, you were here too. 2
All-timers.
once in a sport kind of. It's like having Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson in the same era. You know what I mean? Like
It's huge. Yeah, so it's wide open. That, to your point, like it's no longer a 2-horse race.
right.
I think there's several guys. I wonder what the betting odds are.
But there's
Those-
also so
those
much
two.
recency bias, and I think we also forget that. Like,
I feel like most of the tournament is recency bias.
Like,
Messi won the last Ballon d'Or that he won
when
because
was
of the World
Salah's
Cup
most important game? Liverpool won the league
this season.
a month before it
Yeah,
finished.
which by
It's like you
was
don't
kind of
think-
to their
Like
detriment.
you think about Salah's last game, like wow, last time he actually did something that mattered was like
month ago.
February.
You know what
Yeah.
sucks?
Right? Like,
Yeah,
you know
to
what's-
be
and
fair,
it's not his fault.
no, because the team went on vacation right after.
They
You know,
literally
like
blew everybody out, and they won the league. God knows when, but
Arnie Slot spent more time in Ibiza than he did at like the
Exactly.
They
camp.
were literally vacationing.
Yeah,
because-
So that's what I'm
in
saying.
between games.
So then you look at these
Get it
guys
in
on,
when you can.
on these
Yeah,
PSG
literally.
teams, like you just see them win one tournament, you just see them win again. If they win this next tournament, like that's all you think about. Is
Of course.
PSG,
Right,
PSG,
You
right.
make a
PSG.
great point. Liverpool was not the favorite to win the Prem before the season. They might have.
They were
might have been
ranked
fourth.
fifth.
Yeah.
Fifth. Imagine
to,
that.
to come in fifth.
Imagine that. They did something unbelievable, and Salah was.
Post Jurgen Klopp, everybody thought we were
It's a rebuild
just.
team.
It was a rebuild
And I
team.
think,
And Salah was fantastic.
and I think they lost one game in the first 20 whatever until they actually won the league, and then they started
And we
they
thought
didn't
they-
care at that
right?
point.
Yeah.
They were on vacation mode.
It felt like that guy was going to score every game.
every game. Like,
and
yeah.
assist. Like,
Yeah.
Right, and that's why I think he deserves it because
Yeah.
I've been watching Mo Salah since he came to Liverpool, and like every year he's amazing. I've never seen him this like lethal, both as a creator and a finisher.
Well, then
Very
you get screwed.
effective.
Then you get screwed. Kind of. I don't know if this happens, but does Dembele win it as a French player, given it's a French?
yeah.
Right, yeah, you could even argue it's like
French football.
bias, you know,
So-
like home bias.
It's easy for them to be like, oh yeah, Dembele. Wow, he was.
Which he was fantastic
the
for
leading
PSG
goal,
all
leading
year
goal
too.
scorer of the team, and they won all this stuff. Yeah, Dembele.
It just feels weird giving it to Dembele, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah.
I thought he's had a great season, but this is a guy who like crashed out, or had a really down time
Right.
in his career.
I mean, like the bounce back that he made compared to where he was at Barcelona.
it's notable.
sure.
It's
Yeah.
notable, yeah, for sure. But it does feel a little weird.
Yeah, the Barca fans wanted him out at whatever cost, and then he goes to PSG and kind of dominates, right? So.
And also, I love personally how PSG, after getting rid of their super team, just
Yeah.
wins everything.
Dude,
They just won
unbelievable.
everything.
Really
I
good
love
for the,
that.
Really
I
good
love
for the
that.
agenda.
Yeah,
Well, you
I
got rid
love
of
that.
You got rid of egos. You got rid of Messi, Neymar, and
It goes to
Mbappe.
show, like, when you have a good coach with a solid foundation and players who care
And you'll
about the
never-
badge and not their egos, you can win the Champions League. You can win the
I
quad.
don't know if anyone ever saw it. I'm sure a lot of people did. That video of Luis Enrique looking at a screen telling Mbappe that, like,
You need to
as
defend.
much as you.
Yeah,
have,
I
you have to
remember that.
defend.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he leaves because he kind of thought he was going to win Champions League.
I love it. I love it. And I like Mbappe too. Like I like him as a
Me too.
he's a good player, but like I love seeing players get their like karma like that, you know? I
Yeah,
love it.
It's hard to influence the game as much. There are 11 people on the pitch. Everyone needs to be willing to defend in today's
Right.
game.
Play for the badge.
Yeah, 100%. So not having three guys like that. To your point, if they're on the field at the same time, defensively you're
Those
you're
are
in a huge
three players that are
numeric
walking.
disadvantage. Yeah,
That are just walking until the ball comes to them. You know what
exactly.
I mean?
You could only really have one of those in today's game.
Yeah.
It's hard to have three of them. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's just about all our time.
Awesome.
This has been the premiere of Golden International. Again, Jonathan Carvalho, Brandon Pereira, Rui de Oliveira. We'll be here every Thursday to speak about the Club World Cup, transfers, the leagues in Europe. We can even talk about other leagues if you guys want. Talk about everything here. This is the soccer show for the world, you know?
Next Thursday, that means Porto already have
We'll have like a week of games.
2 wins out of 2.
Here's the hope. I hope a top team wins. If not a top team, then I hope a team outside
They'll
of
be in
Europe
at
wins.
8, so they play at 3, so right off their win, we'll be here.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's- yeah.
We'll be right
gonna
here.
happen.
Or I'll be very sad.
Yeah, well,
You'll know when
May
the camera
affect
goes to
your performance.
Brandon if he's smiling or frowning.
yeah.
But we'll find out.
Yeah.
Again, guys, thank you so much for joining us here for this hour. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram, WWN. And that's just about our time. Have yourselves a very good night.